That film was made by Conor Slattery, but for my purposes, I show all my patients this film. I interview them first, I sit them down in a room then, and I show them this, and it has quite a dramatic effect. Then I can carry on with the education and then start them on the drug.
Does anyone know the name and address of those guys who broke the Watergate scandal news? I think they might be interested in this kind of a video. I think it's this is criminal. I mean, this is bigger than Watergate. I think the press need to get this.
Won't get into politics.
The press need this, and if you've got a journalist of any integrity at all left in the country, you know, I can't imagine them not reacting with enthusiasm to.
I intend to go public on this, but only when the time is right.
We need somebody famous to get sick.
We have one or two actually, but I can't mention their names.
What I want to say is there are famous people in the United States who have MS. Terry Garr is one. Annette Funicello has MS.
Yeah, it's always the same.
Richard Pryor, before he died, he was on Avonex. Montel Williams,
yeah.
He's on marijuana, which is what I want too, but he can get it and I can't.
Yeah, the problem is the power of the pharmaceutical industry, which in my lifetime as a doctor has gone from being way down the list to being the single most powerful industry in the world. Is not oil anymore or automobiles, it's oil or it's pharmaceuticals. And I have seen the change in the way they operate, and it's a rather frightening. So if you're going to take them on, they buy you off first. That's the first thing. They always try to buy you off. Then if they can't buy you off, or they'll try and get you fired or disposed or something, and that happens all the time. And so I'm not prepared to lose my head unless it's in a great cause and unless I have a half a chance of winning. So when I get that chance, I'll certainly take them on.
Dr. Crowley, how many MS patients have you now under your care?
Well, I'm a small rural practitioner, but I would have, say, 20, 30, around that number, a small number. But I've in Ireland, which is a small population, I tend to be getting referred people from across the country as opposed to my own practice. Right. So I've become the kind of expert in Ireland. One other interesting thing which has happened to me during the year, I had a kind of spy on the inside of the MS Society in Ireland who weaved her influence. Actually, she was the woman that I failed on, which was surprised me. After 7 weeks, and I probably should have kept her on it, but I didn't, because she was one of my first cases, and I took her off it. But she's a mild enough, she's doing okay. But anyway, she got people to ring from the MS magazine. This is produced 4 or 5 times in Ireland. And they said they wanted an article on LDN, which I was surprised at, because right behind the MS Society in Ireland are those companies. But lo and behold, it did go through. So I was published just before Christmas, called A Spoonful of Sugar, LDN, the Defence. And then right across here is the prosecution, which is Orla Hardiman, who's the leading neurologist in Ireland and head of the neurological hospital and head of the Society of Neurologists. Now, Ireland's not a big neurological country. There's only 16 neurologists in the whole public service and a few private ones. And it's tiny. We need Denmark, which is a country of similar size, would have 40 to 50. So we're very under neurological. And they're a bit too busy, and they really don't want to know about this. But in this article, she writes a lot about Dr. Bihari. It's kind of libelous even at this stage. But, this is a typical, now I'll just give a response. At present, there is no shred of scientific evidence to support the beneficial effects of the compound in MS. Stating that LDN boosts the immune system and that this might benefit MS is simply nonsense. There is no scientific publication anywhere in the world that makes a valid connection between the immune dysfunction in MS and the pharmacological effects of LDN. Now, you see, she's also the advisor to the MS Society. She's the only neurologist in Ireland who has an MS centre in her hospital, which is totally funded by the drug companies. Now, so one of these days, when I get a chance, I'm going to take her out publicly, but right now, because she's too well known, I can't take her on and get away with it. But I resent what she wrote. But at least it's out there. There is a debate going on.